Okay. When I use my ratchet to try to open that little cap on the bottom of the canister, for the first time when I was changing oil on a new car, with the ratchet I managed to move the whole canister, not the little cap. Everything went open smoothly, so this thing was not put on too hard by the factory. Yeah, it never does. When it comes to doing this thing for the second time and furthermore, I never really bother when I change when I open up the filter, when I take off the whole thing. I don't open the thing on the bottom. I don't open the little cap. I don't use this thing because I just find it's a nuisance and it's a waste of time. Some people put a vinyl tubing on this end, and they have an easier way to drain this thing, direct it to some bottle or something, but I don't really like it. Just squeezing this thing inside of the thing itself, the filter cap itself, I'm worried about breaking some pieces of this thing inside there, or just making the thing loose inside of the cap, so it's gonna be more trouble than it's worth. I don't even mess with this thing anymore. I heard the Toyota mechanics, they don't even bother to. They say it's going to last forever, it's not gonna leak, it's not gonna have any issues. I personally see, since there is a little gasket, I like to open it up every time I take the filter off, because I like to clean what's inside, the dirt underneath, and I like to see that there is a new fresh gasket every time I'm there. So at some point later on in life, it's not gonna end up being impossible to open, or that gasket's gonna be used up. I just know that it's not difficult thing. You open it up, clean, swap the gasket for new, coat it with oil, close it, just make it snug. It doesn't really need to be that hard. It's not going to open. Don't over tighten this thing. Simple. To open the whole thing, first of all, I just learned someplace that Toyota has some kind of filter wrench for this funny canister that looks something like this, with a little cutout here. I didn't see this thing too close. There was some glimpses on the videos. From what I know, Toyota doesn't offer this thing for sale any place, on like in stores or internet. It looks like it's an inside thing, but somewhere I heard and I saw that cap from Honda. This is original part number from Honda. You can buy it officially from Honda. This is designed for Honda filters. It fits very well, not like the auto parts things. If you use original Honda filter and you use this cap, you never have any issues. It looks like this thing is going to fit on a cartridge. It's going to fit on a cartridge. The 6-cylinder one, the 4-cylinder one is going to be the same thing. I didn't try this thing. I didn't try to remove my Toyota filter with that, but seeing that it's going to fit, the cap is going to fit perfectly on top of this filter. 4-cylinder fits perfectly on top of this thing. If you have nothing better to do and you might happen to have this, it's worth trying. I like the thing. This thing, it seems to be aftermarket design. I don't think it's official Toyota. I thought it was designed for Toyota, and like it looks like it's on somebody else's design. I like to use this thing because of those cutouts. So you seem to believe that those things are going to go over that thing on a canister, but I guess the leverage is here. Anyway, I wouldn't attempt to change oil without having something sturdy that's going to make you accomplish the whole thing. You gotta have a good wrench, put something solid on this thing, and we're going to fight. We're going to work this thing. I was going 3 years over with the metal cap. Now I happen to have car with the plastic. I was worried because years and years ago we used to change oil when the engine was hot. Now that was the old school. Since this is plastic right now, I was kind of nervous. I see that we might have some issue. It's going to be easier to damage the plastic cap when it's hot. I tackle the whole thing when it's cold. Seems to work better. Going back, one more thing. If we are used to changing the oil old school with a canister type of filter like this, we were fighting with this gasket on top. If it was getting stuck, if it was put on without putting oil on it, and you were tackling this little screw. There is a small size of a screw thread that we are fighting on this new cartridge. If you look at this canister, the thread is much larger. This is the size of the thread. This is really big, and inside, looking on the bottom of the engine, there's going to be another thread which is like that, which is very, very big. Those things, they expand when they're hot, and this is the clue, this is the key why this thing is difficult to remove. When I'm done with my cartridge filter, when I do the cleaning, because some people just open it up, throw out the old insert, pop in the new one. Good thing if they put a new gasket on this thing back on. I like to open it up, I like to clean it inside very well with a paper towel. I know the lint, you're not trying to leave mess in there, but I'm trying to clean up the old oil. I clean up the old oil under the cap, inside, swap that little gasket while the cartridge is off the vehicle, close it up with everything right here, right outside of the car, put everything together, fill it with oil if it's installed in a vertical manner, because some of those cars, they get installed sideways, so that one not even attempt, because everything is going to spill. But if I could fill it with oil and then I put it on a car, on a vehicle, and there is a good catch. Just next time if you do this thing, observe. I thread it by hand. You don't need a torque wrench, you don't need anything like that. You don't need to get stressed that you can overdo it. Put it on by hand, and just the unit itself. I use those wings at most to force anything. There's wings on that cartridge. You hold on to them. There's a wing. There's that wing. Tighten this thing up. It's going to go to the point that it doesn't want to go anymore. You just bottom it out. You just got to the end, very end, and it doesn't go any further. And that's all you need. Don't back out. Just leave it there. I've done it many times, and it stays and it works, and there is no issues. If I can do it, you can do it. Now there is a catch. There is a catch. If you buy original filters, there is a reason for that. They are made differently. If you buy a frame filter, if you buy any other brands, I don't want to bash anything bad about some other brands, but why don't you buy the original filters? If you buy original filter, the way it's designed, the way it's made, maybe you can buy something better, but maybe you can buy something worse. Why would you experiment? Just get this thing, that the one that was made in a factory. If it was good enough from the factory, it's going to be good enough from now on. If you look, some of them come with a red gasket that you're supposed to put at the right spot. Don't do it too deep to the bottom. Don't put it on the threads. There's a ridge that you're supposed to fit to, and then you coat it with oil, and then you put it on the car. This thing is very important on a Toyota, on a Lexus. It is made out of this is some kind of compound. I'm not going to get deep into what it's made of, but this is not really plain rubber, and it's not plastic. It's supposed to be fairly flexible, but not too soft, not too hard. This one right here, I see that is it's getting gray, and this is not rust. This is not this thing is going old. I believe this is some kind of silicone. This is some kind of silicon, lubricant, Teflon, very good stuff. Something like that is being put on the gasket as a treatment. So even if you don't do nothing else to this thing, it's not supposed to really stick on too hard, so it's going to be possible to remove the filter later on. But being a good person, as long as you use original Toyota filters, original gaskets, you're not going to have issues. They say that you're supposed to coat this thing with oil. They say right there on this thing, if you read any instructions, they say apply oil to this thing. So whenever you put this thing on a cartridge, put oil. Make it wet. I don't care about the threads. Actually, I wipe them. I wipe whatever I can. I wipe this thing clean. I don't like the mess. But on the gasket, on the O-ring, as most of you guys call it, put fair amount. So this thing is kind of wet. And like I said, by the time we're done with cleaning inside of the cartridge, the whole unit, the whole cartridge is cold. It cooled off. It's not hot. By the time we prepare everything for installing, it's cold. Tie this thing on by hand up until you see the limit. I don't care, plastic, the small one or the larger one. They work the same. They're not very hard to put on. Like I said, you don't need the torque wrench to put this thing on. You just do it by hand. Not even a wrench. If you use a wrench, you can use it, but be very careful. Be very gentle with this thing. It's going on very smoothly. To remove this thing, if you put it on so easily, just think about it. If you put it on so easily, it shouldn't be difficult to remove. So, like I said, first time the cap I couldn't remove. The whole thing went off. The whole cartridge, the whole canister went down. Now I was trying to open it up next and successfully next times. Sometimes there was some resistance that I was kind of concerned, but I say to myself, if I put it on, I made sure that I didn't cross the threads. I didn't cross the threads, definitely. So it couldn't be that issue, and it couldn't be that I put it on too hard because it couldn't go any further. Your key to remove this thing easily is that this thing is expanding. There is a heat expansion happening on the edge of this canister. So it's always difficult to remove, and it's going to be even more difficult if you introduce aftermarket filter and you use some kind of different gasket. That's I believe it's your issue. That's why you have it too hard. If you didn't cross the threads, if somebody didn't cross the threads, but most likely they didn't. So wrong gasket could be your problem. Not lubricated, that's your other problem, and that's about it. Now, if you can't remove your cartridge easily using your cap and ratchet, for example, we're using something. I guess using this wider thing with something bigger is better. The largest thing I would try to use is some kind of breaker bar, and that's about it. That's the strongest thing. That's the persuasion that you need. I saw a couple guys trying to use this thing and then holding it closely. So what is the point? This is pretty much not the point. Your leverage is if you have a long tool, you pull it at the very end. That's your leverage. That's about it. If somebody's trying to use a impact wrench, they're butcher. They're not supposed to do this thing because you're going to damage the cartridge. One catch, one trick that I like to use, and I guess I'm going to be learning using from now on. If I'm going to have a difficult time to remove the oil filter on Toyota and Lexus, don't do it like we were taught in school to change oil when it's hot. Remove this thing when it's cold. I don't care. You can try to drain the oil first and then wait for this thing to cool off, and then you can do it. Or I tried this thing before, and I can suggest to you guys try it too. Before you get to changing your oil, when the car is cold, when the car is not really driven, get underneath and having the right tools, see if you can loosen the cartridge when it's cold, when the engine is cold. I've done it before. It's pretty safe. You can loosen it up and then tighten it again, and this thing works. It works on your mind. So basically, next time when you get to it, you know that this thing is not stuck to the point that you can't move it because you know that you moved it yesterday. So to summarize, the best way for this thing, I swear I don't know exactly which part is swelling so hard. It's getting expanded so hard when it's hot. But when this system gets hot, when you try to do it when it's really hot, you can see the difference very easily. That's the cartridge is difficult to move when the engine is at the normal operating temperature, to the point when you break the seal, because the main thing is another story. If you didn't change the oil for a long time, this thing, the longer it sits, the more difficult it might be to remove. But assuming that every 6 months, for example, you change your oil, that shouldn't be really that difficult. The worst thing is to crack the connection, to crack the seal. On the old filter, I guess also you were coating this gasket right here with oil, and then I don't think the thread was an issue here. All you had to do is just to move it. If you crack it open, then the rest was just spinning quickly. It was spinning easily. But on our cartridge system, on a filter that's it's coming back, you get the replacement parts in pieces. This thing is still difficult to move because of the gasket. The O-ring is holding it up, and the thread that is large on the system. Put it on cold with your hands only. I can do it, you can do it, I repeat. Original filter, oil on a gasket, put it on by hand. You can remove it with mechanical tools. No impact wrenches, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. It's been done before, it's going to be done over again. If you understand those things, you're not going to have difficulties with those filters. Good luck.